Greetings, GIZ community. This is Dr. Stewart with another Student Spotlight. Today, I'm here at Gainesville Intermediate School with fifth grader Loralai Whitchurch. How you doing, Loralai?
Good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. Okay, let's jump right into our questions. So let's get to know a little bit about you. Tell us about your family, your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, pets. Tell us about your family.
My mom, she is nice, and her birthday is on Friday.
Okay.
And she usually does stuff with us every week or so. She changes between all four of her kids. My father is very, he tries to embarrass us a lot whenever he gets the chance, but we all love him, and I have three brothers and no sister. My youngest brother is 7 months, my next is 5 years old, and my oldest brother is 12. I also have no pets, so.
Okay. Well, sounds like a very interesting and fun-filled household. You know, you got a dad that likes to have fun and joke around with you, but also, as the only young lady in the house besides your mom, you know, I know that probably has its advantages and disadvantages, being that you have three brothers, two younger and one older.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me something about what you did this past summer. Did you go on any trips or spend time with any long-distance family members?
Well, a few months ago, I visited for a week with my grandma and my two aunts.
Okay.
And we just moved to Texas by then, so we were still new to the area.
Mm-hmm.
But we were going to go to Missouri, which is an 8-hour drive, so it took a while. But a month later, I went for 3 weeks to my youngest aunt. And me and my oldest cousin, we switched spots in that. So I got to hang out with my youngest cousin, who just turned 8. And she was really happy about it. So.
That sounds like you had a pretty busy summer. Now, when you went and hung out with your aunties, where do they live?
They all live in Missouri.
Missouri?
And we lived in Florida. So moving to Texas we moved closer, but it was still a very long drive.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then for my grandpa, we have to go back to Florida, then come back.
So you spent a lot of time in that car, huh?
Yeah.
I understand. If your mom and dad had to describe you in one word, what would it be?
I would say smart, and since I'm the only girl, they always say the best girl in the world, the best daughter
Absolutely.
they ever had. And I go, well, I'm your only one, so yeah.
Well, it's factual on both sides. You know, you are the best daughter that they have, and I mean, ironically, you're the only daughter that they have. So that's cute. So, I hear you're very interested in reading and writing.
Yeah.
What are you doing to explore this passion?
Well, my dad, he always makes books for us to read for us. So I tried making one of my own books so he could read it to us, because he likes reading to us, and I like trying to make books. Last year I tried to make one with my friends, but since they just kept playing around with the backgrounds on the computers, they just, we didn't get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But now I choose a background and then I write the story that I'm on, and I have about 5 pages done. So.
Okay. So you're currently writing a book.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was about to say there's so many templates out there and tools that you can use to help in that endeavor. I have had the pleasure of meeting several young students your age, and in some cases even younger, that have published books. So I look forward to hearing about this book once it's completed. I'll be sure to buy me a copy. Okay. All right. So Are there any other activities you like to do when you're not in school?
I like to do art, read. Sometimes I just sit on my bed and read a book, and sometimes I go fishing with my dad. Yesterday we went fishing. We caught a couple of fish and we left to go back home, and we had a fun time doing it.
Now let's talk about school. What is one thing you think you do well as a student?
I think I would do well as helping my teachers because sometimes in math class they would say something different than what we're actually doing, or they'll add when we're subtracting and stuff like that. And there's three main people in my class who help them with that, and she always thanks us afterwards. So she, I think, like as helping people in our class.
And that's a great character trait to have. You know, as a former teacher myself, I mean, it was always helpful to have a young man or a young lady who grasps a hold of the concepts, but also could sit alongside their classmates and assist as well as I worked the room and helped other kids. So with that answer, I think I know the answer to this next one, but I'm still going to ask you the question, and that is, what is your favorite subject to learn, and why does it interest you?
Well, I have two. I like them both equally, but I'm better at one more than the other.
Okay.
I like art and math, but I'm better at math than art. Sometimes I'll make a mistake that I can't go over because it stains the paper in some way.
Let me ask you this: as a former math teacher, and again, I knew it was a reason I liked you. So I taught math. So do you always double check your work when you finish your problems? Do you always go back and double check your work?
Yeah, because most of the time I finish 10, 15 minutes ahead of everybody else when we're on a test or just like homework. I do it in the classroom because sometimes it's really easy, so I finish it immediately.
Okay. All right. So what do you think is the most important quality a teacher should have?
Patience with their students because they might not have it on the first try.
Absolutely. As a former teacher myself, I knew that I had my students who were a little bit stronger in mathematics, and I had my students who were not as strong. So it was important for me to try to keep everyone, moving in the same direction. So sometimes I'd have to take a little bit more time with some of my students in comparison to others. Great answer. Okay. So this is your first year in GISD. Who has been your favorite teacher so far, and why?
Well, I like all of them, but my favorite is the art teacher because she she helps with stuff and she doesn't yell at anybody unless they keep doing what they're not supposed to over and over again. But she's nice to everybody, and she helps if we don't know. She says it's great even if we know that it's not.
So she's very encouraging. You're talking about Miss Stogner.
Yes.
She's very encouraging, and of course, I've gone to her class many a times, and it always seems like the kids are having fun in there. So she makes learning fun. She makes art fun, which I can't draw, but I could see myself having fun in her class. Okay, so as a new student to the district, how has your experience been so far here at the intermediate campus?
It's been good. Even though I just moved here from Florida, I took in the time to get to know my way around the school, and it's fun. I like how they do it here, and I like everything they do, so I'm fine with it.
Well, I'm glad that the transition has gone pretty smoothly for yourself. I can only imagine, transitioning not just schools within Texas, but coming from a whole totally different state and then getting yourself reacclimated to the learning environment. So I'm glad to hear things are going well for you. So now, do you have any advice? I mean, as a fifth grader, next year you're going to move up to sixth grade. Do you have any advice for the fourth graders that will be transitioning to the intermediate campus next year as fifth graders?
That they're going to push you to your limit and make you try your best.
As any good teacher should, they should expect nothing but the best from all of our students and help stretch you academically. So now, let's talk a little bit about the future. And again, I know right now as a young lady that's in 5th grade, it may be hard for you to see, well into the future. But let's talk about next year. So this year, you're one of our younger students on the campus, at the intermediate campus, being 5th and 6th. Next year, you're going to be one of the older students. So how does that make you feel? Are you excited about that? Are you nervous? How do you feel about going from the youngest to being the oldest student on campus?
I'm excited and kind of nervous because every time I'm at a school, I'm one of the youngest. Like sometimes I'm one of the oldest. Like last year in 4th grade, I was the second oldest in my class. Mm-hmm. So I got to feel that. But in 3rd grade, I was the youngest person in my class.
Mm-hmm. Well, Loralai, there's no doubt in my mind that when you, even as a 5th grade student, when you transition to the 6th grade, the big thing that I ask of our students is that we model the behaviors that we want our younger students to model. And there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be one of our big-time leaders here at the intermediate campus and showing our 5th grade students how we do business here. So, are there any particular career fields that interest you right now?
Well, only being an artist or a writer.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, when you get ready, I'll have an art position ready for you, and I'll have a math position ready for you. Either or. You come let me know, and I'll make sure we get you hired on, okay? All right, so now let's have a little fun. If you had to eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Well, that's actually really hard, but I would say like a taco because we have our meat, we have our protein, and we get our dairy with it too because the cheese, sour cream.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so tacos. Okay, so if you were entered into a talent show, what would your talent be?
Answering a lot of hard math questions very fast.
Okay, mathematician. Okay. That's a skill that a lot of people don't have. Again, I taught math for 7 years, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, even so that, every now and then when I go into our math classes, I like to sit beside our kids and help them with their math work and whatnot. So I love it. Math is a skill. It's a lifelong skill that will provide huge benefits for you further down the road. Well, Loralai, that concludes all the questions that I've asked you. I always like to, because I've asked you so many questions, I always like to provide our students with an opportunity to ask me a question. Do you have a question for me today?
The only one is, do you enjoy being one of the former math teachers?
Do I enjoy being a former math teacher? I do. I try to find any and every opportunity for me to continue to engage kids in mathematics, as well as all areas of academia. But math, because that's my passion. So, as a superintendent of schools, I tend to go into a lot of math classes. And that's probably intentional, because I like helping the kids. That's the one thing that, as I transitioned into this role, that I had to, that was my biggest fear, is that I was going to become detached from our kids, because I now you don't have a classroom of kids that you teach. You have a body of kids that you're overseeing, that you're responsible for. So it's been very, very intentional on my behalf to stay relevant and to go into classes. That's why I go into classes as much as I do, so that I can sit beside our kids and help them and further engage in the academic process. So I miss it, but I make sure that I'm intentional on providing myself with opportunities to continue to engage kids in mathematics. Great question. All right, well, GISD community, Loralai Whitchurch, 5th grade student here at Gainesville Intermediate.